Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. Pride is excessive admiration for your own personal image and the belief that you are more important than others. Of the 7 deadly sins, theologians and philosophers reserve a special place for pride. Lust, envy, anger, greed, gluttony and sloth are all bad, the sages say, but pride is the deadliest of all, the root of all evil, and the beginning of every other sin. From the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 13, "Since the first stage of pride is sin, whoever clings to it will pour forth filth. This is why the Lord inflicts unexpected punishments on such people, utterly destroying them." Every problem that you encounter in your life essentially comes from some diluted form of pride. In fact, pride precedes all of the 7 deadly sins, which means that it holds the potential to be the most destructive one of all. Pride precedes envy. I deserve better than others. Pride precedes lust. I'm entitled to that person's body. Pride precedes greed. I need more than others. Pride precedes wrath. I'm entitled to become aggressive if I don't get what I want. Pride precedes gluttony. I am entitled to consume more than my fair share. Pride precedes sloth. I'm entitled to have someone or something else do something for me. And finally, pride precedes pride. The proud believe that they are so special that they cannot possibly acquire this vice. A high self-opinion makes the proud believe that they are above introspection and reflection, which only allows their arrogance to develop into deep narcissism. If their self-opinion is too far removed from reality, the proud will suffer from delusions of grandiosity. Understand that everyone possesses pride to some degree. We have evolved to prioritise our own needs and have developed a bias that favours the needs of our own tribe above the needs of others to ensure our survival. This is known as my side bias. The tribes that didn't do this were quickly removed during the brutal periods of the Paleolithic era. Some pride is normal and is okay, such as parental pride, pride in one's work, or pride for your school, city, or country. In fact, of all the deadly sins, pride is the one most likely to stir debate about whether it's a sin at all. The problems don't come from being proud inwardly in small amounts. They come from displaying pride overtly, excessively, and projecting your own superiority above other people. An increase in this attitude over time will eventually cause self-destruction. If you're going to be on the lookout for one vice, then make it this one. Fighting this tendency will mean that you target the root of all sin, which will give rise to a more virtuous spirit over a broad range of circumstances. Pride is a big problem that is increasing at an exponential rate for the following 3 reasons. Firstly, an abundance of material property and access to everything at the click of the finger has led to people feeling invincible. Everyone is quick to forget the modern conveniences that make life so simple. A prolonged period of taking these things for granted will result in you developing a sense of entitlement. This is your pride coming out. Be on the lookout for this, as the world is becoming richer and richer, and your tendency to become proud is going to hit a level that has never been experienced before. Secondly, bad parenting has not taught children to develop their humility to counter their abundant access to goods and services. If a child is not taught how to exercise humility, they become entitled too, which sets themselves up to have excessive admiration for their own personal image for the rest of their life. Finally, social media allows people to display the highlights of their abundant lifestyle as a metric for social comparison. The more you seem to have, or the better time you seem to be having, the better your character or your standing in the community. The drive to feel important fuels the need to communicate your importance. Here are the problems that pride will cause for you. Pride makes you think that you're better than others. There is nothing more repulsive to people than to associate with someone who believes that they are better than others and has no shame in showing it. C.S. Lewis has this amazing reflection on pride. He says, "There is one vice of which no man in the world is free, which everyone in the world loathes when he sees it in someone else, and of which hardly any people ever imagine that they are guilty themselves. There is no fault which makes a man more unpopular, and no fault which we are more unconscious of in ourselves. And the more we have it in ourselves, the more we dislike it in others." The vice I'm talking of is pride. The more we have it in ourselves, the more we dislike it in other people. If you loathe this tendency in others, then it's likely that you're subconsciously identifying with this person and then projecting your hatred of this quality in yourself onto them. The proud will never identify and hate this quality in themselves because they think too highly of themselves, and so they need an outlet which takes the form of a projection where the hatred is directed onto others. Excessive pride will be the single biggest barrier to you forming meaningful connections with other people. During any form of conflict, you render yourself unable to humble yourself into an apology or a compromise. This will see you run through a series of broken relationships over time. It will also stop you from having a realistic understanding of yourself and your limits. Pride is what makes you think you're omniscient, perhaps even having delusions about your greatness. Excessive pride will prevent you from having a realistic impression of your abilities and will ensure you remain blindly ignorant to your own deficiencies. Following on from this, pride will mean that you are reluctant to humble yourself to take on new information or advice. It means that you believe that you are in no need of transformation or improvement yourself. If you are flawed, which you most certainly are, you will not improve on these defects. This is the problem with the proud. They are so proud that they struggle to see a problem with their behaviour, which means that their poor behaviour patterns are never corrected. Your pride will also make you think that you are so great that you caused everything good to happen to you, while perhaps overlooking the role that the generosity of others or lucky circumstances might have played. It also causes you to decline responsibility for any bad circumstances that you find yourself in, claiming that you're a victim because of X, Y, and Z and not your own personal inadequacies. Eventually, pride will bring total and utter destruction upon yourself. Pride goes before a destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. On a mass scale, high levels of pride among society have led to the development of a cancel culture that is completely intolerant of any opinion that deviates from the social norm. Anything that deviates from the mainstream understanding is labelled as ignorance. Again, the book of Proverbs delivers. A fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinions. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2. Understand that if you are this person, you are saying that the experience of others doesn't matter. You are saying that your opinion is worth more because you know everything. When everyone behaves this way, it makes people so much more intolerant of everyone. This is how pride on a global scale can be so destructive. It shuts the door to openness of new ideas and new ways of doing things, which made our culture so rich to begin with. Changes that improved our society only came about because people possess the humility to be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. When people are humble and possess high levels of openness, groups can work collaboratively together to come up with the best solution to solve the emerging social problems. Pride is the single biggest barrier to social cooperation on a multifactorial scale. You might not think that you're a proud creature, but everyone is. It's certainly the vice that I struggle with the most. The people that deny this will often open themselves up to this vice, causing more problems for themselves. Reflect and identify the pride in you so that you can counteract this tendency with consciousness. Becoming aware of the inclination to become proud will mean that you're on the lookout for this tendency when it begins to express itself. When it does express itself, you must destroy this tendency, or it'll destroy you. Humility is the virtue that opposes pride. Humility is an honest appraisal of one's strengths and weaknesses. Considering that you may, at times, display pride is an act of humility that is the first step to crushing this tendency latent within you. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself, it's about thinking of yourself less. Other acts of humility include curbing the desire to draw attention to your achievements or abilities, accepting responsibility for your failures, deficits, or shortcomings, attributing your success to luck, the team, or society at large, developing an understanding that others are entitled to things just as much as you are, displaying intellectual modesty, which means that you're able to humble yourself to take on new information or advice. This includes understanding that anyone could teach you something you don't know at any time, even the less skillful. Always displaying openness to a transformation. Consider that you are human and are flawed and must continuously work on these flaws. Being tolerant of the opinions of other people. Listen intently to others, not with the intent of a rebuttal, but with the intent of understanding. Don't spend the entire time someone else is talking formulating what you plan to say next. Conversations like this are not dialogues, they are monologues, with two people taking turns talking about what matters most to them, the topics of which could bear no relevance to each other. This is most comical. Understand that people are curious and will endeavour to find out information about you anyway. It's far better to have them find this information out about you on their own terms, or from others, rather than directly hearing you boast about yourself. You don't need to post anything on social media that displays how good you are, how good you look, or how extravagant your lifestyle. If you must do this, make these posts few and far between, and play down the post in any way you can. Covert pride is the key if you feel a sudden urge to be boastful, but just be aware of this inclination in excess. Finally, if you've had a significant fall or setback in your life, then you must pause and spend time in reflection, and entertain the possibility that your pride led to your fall from grace. Reflection on past experiences is a noble way to learn a lesson, and it doesn't cost you anything. All it requires is some introspection. This is the true antidote to pride. You must recognise your pride, then recognise how it affects you. Then you can heed the tendency off or root it out completely. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 93, I'll be talking about greed. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.